So at the time of doing this video, it is the 1st of the 5th, approximately sort of quarter to 12 UK time. At this time, there is still no Speaker of the US House of Representatives. In fact, they have gone 6 votes, 6 votes so far, and they have failed to elect Kevin McCarthy. And what is going on in America right now, just to give you the quick TLDR, is that within the Republican Party, they have become split between those what has become known as the Freedom Caucus, very much allies of sort of Donald Trump and pushing a very, very right-wing libertarian agenda, almost well, almost pretty much bordering on fascism and autocratic, dictatorial, theocratic control of the US, and well, the rest of the Republican Party in a way. And this has been, I think, a long time coming. It has been something that we have seen very much in our own Conservative Party, maybe not to the extent of what's been going on in America, definitely so. But don't worry, we have our own share of crazies and people who pop up their own crazy, fun ideas from time to time in our own parliament. That's for sure. We've covered it on this channel before. But this has been very much so because in the Republican Party, just as we've had and seen in our own Conservative Party in the UK, that they have allowed these really hardline extremists into the party to take power. Now, they were all fine and dandy for them for letting them come in because they were getting sort of, big populist support. They liked some of their ideas, but not all of them. But they did like the fact that they were on their side and they were sort of, willing to give them the support. The problem was, as we have seen, eventually these guys get power. And when they get power, they will start to cause chaos because these hard right-liners do not like the current establishment, both in the sort of our Conservative Party, as we're about to find out, and of course in their own Republican Party. So as at the time of doing this video, there is still no Speaker of the House. We've gone through at this moment 6 votes to try and see if this would happen. But to be honest, it is embarrassing to the Republicans in this, and it is damaging their image. And there could be some severe consequences because sooner or later, they need to raise the debt ceiling. And there is a potential economic and who knows what could happen if America defaults on their debts. We do not know what could happen if that happens for like the first time in history. So there's a very real threat potentially approaching this, and of course in sort of what is happening here. So if it is sorted out, great, but I think some of the concessions that we've been seeing and them being asking for are a bit wacky and crazy, especially for the one giving them the ability to be able to boot him out far more easier. That spells certainly more trouble down the road if he does give into that and give them that opportunity. But enough, of course, about talking about the Republicans. Time to bring it back home, over the pond, back across the pond, over to the UK, and talk about our own Conservatives, because there is, as we've been told, been telling you before, the new Conservative Democratic Organization, or the CDO, determined to take back control of the Conservative Party and, in a way, prepare itself to essentially take power. And it is being funded by a billionaire, Lord Carruthers, who essentially has fully openly admitted that he will spend as much money as it will take to shift the party back to the right wing of politics. Things are about to get fun. And as I've been telling you how interesting our own conservative civil war is, you've seen what's going on in America at the moment. It might not get, of course, as spicy as we've been seeing the Republicans getting over there, but it's certainly going to get pretty hot when things, and certainly the artillery shells, start firing at each other. That's certainly for true. But anyway, Before we go diving into this, please do remember to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, well, buy me a coffee. And of course, there is the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club down below as well. And of course, thank you very much to all the people who do help and support the channel that way. Even if you do just hit the like and share button, like I say, that helps out massively. Of course, remember to comment below as well. That helps out with all the algorithmical stuff as well. And of course, remember to ring the bell as well, so that you get to get notifications when we drop a new video or when we go live as well, as we probably will be doing this weekend for the Good Morning Walk this Saturday, the first of the new year. So ultimately, we'll obviously be covering what's been going on in America because, oh boy, that's interesting. That's very interesting. But onto our own party over here. Like I said, this article that we're going to go over today and looking at comes from The Guardian with the title of Boris Johnson's Allies Behind Bid to Take Back Control of the Tory Party. And it's very, very interesting because this is being described as a momentum-style campaign. And remember, for years, during the Jeremy Corbyn sort of Labour Party, the Conservatives hated momentum, hated it. You know, you've been taken over by extremists. How could you? They're going to destroy the party with all these extremists you've let into the party. And you're like, well, hold on. As we're about to find out, they are doing an exact same style campaign to take over the Tory party. But whereas Momentum was very, very much a grassroots campaign, it had no large donor. You've got Carruthers here, Carruthers, who is the sole big donor backer who has expressly said openly, I will fund this movement to motivate the Conservative Party back to the right-wing party I want it to be. So, yeah, let's get into this. So, the former Conservative Treasurer, Peter Carruthers, a key ally of Boris Johnson, is set to launch a momentum-style grassroots campaign to overhaul the party democracy. As we've said, maybe we should, cover all those times that sort of the Conservatives have covered Momentum and how much they hated Momentum and criticised what it did to the Labour Party, because a lot of those criticisms do directly apply to what is going on here with the CDO. Absolutely, even more so with the fact that he's being funded by Carruthers solely to influence the party in a way that he wants to. So the movement, the Conservative Democratic Organisation, will have Lord Carruthers as its president and aims to give members full say over candidate selections, with minimum interference by CCHQ, that's the Conservative campaign headquarters, included in the power to deselect MPs. The move has been endorsed by the former Home Secretary, Priti Patel, who was also close to the former Prime Minister. Its Vice President, Stephen Greenhalgh, and former Deputy Mayor and Minister in the Lords under Johnson, another key Johnson backer, and David Campbell-Bannerman, a former MEP, will be its chair. So already you can see, we've talked about just late last year, the fact that Johnson was planning a potential political comeback. And obviously, Carruthers led that movement during sort of, should we say, Liz Truss's fall to reselect sort of Boris Johnson. So all this, the fact that this is filled full of key Johnson allies, leads me to suspect maybe Johnson is in the background wanting to sort of, pull the strings. But obviously, Johnson was never one for making decisions. He wanted to be the figurehead, but not the actual decision maker. We saw that during his time in office. And certainly here, we could see a movement that would put Johnson back in office with then the potential, well, okay, you're back in office, but Johnson, you need this person, this person, this person, this person around you. And of course, most of those people who would be selected would very, very much be, of course, of Liz Truss's wing of the party, those right-wing libertarians. So, both Carruthers and Campbell-Bannerman ran the campaign and the petition to put Johnson on the ballot paper for the summer Tory party leadership contest, which attracted grassroots support but was unsuccessful. The announcement of the group's formation on the Conservative Post website said, quote, "Many of us are fed up having left-wing candidates and a left-wing agenda opposed on us from above. We are in the Conservative Party, not Labour, for a reason." And this is why the CDO are going to make this civil war so hilarious, because they are going to run around and they are going to start accusing people of being left wing, or you're too left to be in the Conservative Party. And remember, I'd like to point out that towards the end, of course, of Johnson's tenure, there were a couple of Conservative MPs saying that Johnson wasn't being conservative enough. So, will they accuse Boris Johnson? I very much doubt it, but hey, who knows? The CDO proposes a radical overhaul of party conferences and the role of CCHQ, chairs, and the selection of removal of MPs. Strikingly similar, this aims to those of the campaign group Momentum that emerged under Jeremy Corbyn's leadership of Labour. Again, they're using that because they've seen it as an effective way to take control. And the thing is, Carruthers definitely has the money to be able to certainly achieve potentially a lot more than certain Momentum did. But so the efforts to strengthen the Conservative Party democracy have been mostly rebuffed by the senior Tory politicians, though there has been a growing frustration in the grassroots, compounded by the removal of Liz Truss as Prime Minister after she was backed by members, replaced by Rishi Sunak without a members' vote. And that is what they're building on, that resentment that they did not get a selection. But again, according to the rules and the way the whole, that process went, Rishi Sunak did nothing wrong, and it didn't go to the members because, well, overwhelmingly, the MPs chose Rishi Sunak. The group will demand that senior figures in the party, including the party chairman and the chair of its policy forum, should be democratically elected. It will also demand constituency allocations should have the, quote, right to select and, if necessary, deselect their MP. Again, I agree with that because that is something in a discussion that's going on actually in the Labour Party as well. More sort of control of that. So it's fun to see why that is. But of course, you've got to remember where certainly in the Labour Party, there is the feeling that we're getting sort of, candidates parachuted in this sort of campaign group. This will be done because they feel that there are sort of conservatives that aren't conservative and that they're left wing. But we'll get to it. So it said, reforming candidate selections to put associations back in charge would reduce or eliminate the current dangerously unstable gulf between members' views and those of their MP representatives, such as the variance over Brexit and low taxes. What a surprise. Again, this move is all about trying to purge the Conservative Party of essentially its sort of centrist right of the party, which is kind of funny because, as we pointed out before, for any party to win, even the Conservatives, they have to get at least 15 to 20% of the massive chunk out there, of the 30% out there of UK voters who identify as centrists. And if you get rid of that, that shifts the party more hardline to the right. And we've seen how hard right the Conservative Party has been over the past few years, which is, again, laughable that they are saying that there are, quote, leftists in the party, but there you go. The group proposes reducing the role of CCHQ and grading candidates on their ability and core beliefs. The centralizing and controlling direction of the central office would be ended, which has led to many MPs, here we go, being selected who are not genuine conservatives, and do not have the necessary skills or commitment and have insufficient loyalty to the party, the group said. I, um, I wonder if they include Boris Johnson's necessary skills in that, or Liz Truss's, or maybe Kirsty Kretang's, or maybe even, Jacob Rees-Mogg's skills in that, because we have seen really over the past 12 years a lot of very incompetent and underskilled people taking on senior cabinet positions. But anyway, they continued. They said, this has manifested itself into appalling behaviour of some current Conservative MPs and previous ones who were stripped of the whip, and who are the root cause of the political instability at present. Who? Who are you attacking? Because at the moment, this really does seem um, like a vendetta. It really does seem like, to me, it's an absolute vendetta to go after Conservative MPs who they deem, again, not conservative enough and don't support them on their crazy right-wing libertarian ideology. I think that's part of it. I think they saw how disastrously and quickly Liz Truss was kicked out, and the fact that they thought that their crazy right-wing libertarian group was the dominant part of the party. Turns out not. So they want to do this to again elect more of those crazy right-wing free market fundamentalist libertarians into the political party, which, okay, go for it, because I'll tell you what, as we've said before, this libertarianism that Liz Truss and the rest of those right-wingers want to push is not a popular ideology in the UK. No one wants to talk about it. That's why even the Conservatives, even the Brexiteers at Brexit did not want to talk about this crazy right-wing libertarian free market nonsense that they want to do to the country. So another key proposal will be changing the voting system for party leaders, including setting the threshold of 15% of MPs in order to stand as a candidate. That's going to cause a lot of problems, but there you go. Also, that's going to mean that leadership contests last a whole lot longer, but there you go. It will also campaign for a bigger role for party conferences with the membership back in control, and to allow member debates after ministerial speeches, similar to how Labour and the Lib Dem conferences are run. This year's Conservative Party conferences had just 2-hour slots for speeches with no debate or contribution from members. In a statement endorsing the campaign, which is expected to hold a conference later this year, Patel said, our grassroots are the heart and soul of our party, and they are our greatest assets and advocates, and they should never be taken for granted. Well, what about those Conservatives that don't back your views in the party? Are you going to start purging them as well? just interesting thought there, Patel. Party members, she continued to say, are committed to our values of freedom, enterprise, and opportunity, that we need to allow them to have more say over our policies and candidates. This will make us stronger and more successful in the government and boost our membership numbers. Again, that's what it's more about. More successful in government and boost our member numbers. They want to try and really get and certainly shore up even more so those free market fundamentalists, those libertarians in the party. That's what they want to do. That's their aim. It is a genuine, serious attempt to take back control of the Conservative Party for the libertarian faction in the Conservative Party, which we've already seen is not a popular ideology in the UK. It doesn't have any support. No one really wants it, because if you talk to people about these radical, strange ideologies and the ideas and policies that they would want to put forward, no one really wants them, not even conservatives. So when it comes to this, I think there's going to be a lot of money thrown at this by Carruthers. He's free to do that. But like I say, we've seen the political chaos that's going on in the Republican Party, and it's not playing out well for them. So as far as I'm concerned, if Carruthers wants to do this, and he really wants to start this ideological purity crusade, which will, go as well as a match in a firework factory, you know what? Have at it. Have at it, my friend, because that is going to cause some quite spectacular explosions when he lights that match. That is certainly for sure. But oh boy, as I said before, you know, we covered the CDO. I am waiting for this explosion to happen, and oh boy, it's all being built up, just as we've seen in America, that's resulted in the ongoing chaos that has been unable to elect a Speaker of the House. We're going to have our own fantabulous conservative omnishambles coming down the pipe in the future. That is absolute for certain. And this guy is literally our waiter, and we are serving it up to us on a platter, and it is going to make wonderful viewing. It really is going to make such wonderful viewing. You know, chef's kiss. Mwah. You know, mwah. Oh, beautiful, so delicious. Give it to me. I want to see this. I want to see them go to war. I want to feast. I want to be the carrion crow that comes across and just starts picking across the bodies. You know, we'll have content for days when this civil war kicks off. And oh boy, is it going to be a spectacular. He's going to be absolutely spectacular. That is for certain. But as always, like I say, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a rotation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. And of course, we'll see you all next time.